So, welcome to the Real Build. I am your host, Bill Ryman, your broker builder. And today I have a guest coming from Houston, Texas. He started in electrical at 10 years old, which is very impressive when his dad would take him to work during the summers and vacation days as a child. He moved to Houston and started his company in June of 2018. As of now, he has 3 technicians working underneath him. He enjoys playing soccer at a high level, traveling, seeing nature. He also is more focused on himself. He doesn't currently have a family, so he's focusing more on himself and the company and helping guiding others around him to level up. He started his company at the age of 23, and we're going to touch on this because that's very impressive, and that's not very common to see, especially in the electrical industry where you need to study for years and take multiple state exams in order to start an electrical contracting company. Irvin Retiz, welcome to the Real Build. Thanks for coming on today. How you doing?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me on, Bill. Glad
Yeah,
to be
I'm,
here.
I'm pumped to have you on, man. Like I said, I haven't really had somebody. I've had people in your work on in the past, but he wasn't really in the residential side of it too. So I'm kind of pumped to talk some residential electrical with you. It's a huge topic, obviously, in the construction industry, and for people in general. They want to know what's going on. It's obviously electric runs a lot of households until
For sure, yeah.
unless they're all off the grid with solar, but a lot of households still under electrical grid. So I'm excited to have you on. What I like to get started with is just asking about your background. So who is Irvin Retiz?
Yeah, well, I grew up in the deep south part of Texas, like right before getting to the Mexico border, like really like 30 minutes away. So I grew up there my whole life, working for my dad. And then, eventually after high school, I moved out for a couple of months just to go and play soccer at a college, because soccer was always my dream. That's what I wanted to do professionally. So if I would have been a professional soccer player, like I wouldn't be, an electrical contractor now. But I still play soccer at a semi-pro level. But my main focus right now is electrical. As soon as I moved to Houston 2.5 years ago, and I started working for myself. So since then, it's been a ride. But I just go along with it. Adjust. You learn new things.
Yeah, and it's very impressive. Obviously, I touched on your background in the intro too, and me and you relate in a lot of ways. Growing up, my dad was in construction. Just reading off your background, and I was similar. I went to the job sites. I've said this in past episodes. I went to the job sites all the time. My dad always put me to work. That's where I learned. I was also an athlete. My dream wasn't to play soccer. My dream was to play actual football,
Mm.
and I played college. I did that whole thing too. But if I would have been professional, I wouldn't be doing construction,
Yeah,
just like
for
yourself.
sure. Yeah.
But God works in the ways He does, and that's why we're here where we are today, for a reason. So, I mean, let's go into your background a little bit though, too, because it is impressive. I mean, 23 years old, starting your own company. Let's talk about how you learned and got there starting a company at 23, because like in the intro I said, being an electrical contractor isn't an easy thing. So it takes a
Mhm.
lot of work to do that. So let's talk about, your training prior to starting the business and so on.
Yeah, well, I mean, it all started at 10 years old when my dad, would take me to work during the summers, during vacations like spring break, Christmas break, Thanksgiving. So, I didn't have a normal like vacation time, and
I'm
I'm
the
guessing you
same
did.
way as you.
Yeah, you didn't either. So that, taught us like how to work for money. So I would do like just the simple things, cleaning up, getting materials from the van, taking them to the technicians, stuff like that. So like my dad, over the years from 10 years old all the way to high school, my dad taught me like the on hands, working, how to work, what to do, and stuff like that, how to install light fixtures, outlets. And he also taught me like the basic business side of it. So like I've always learned that, my whole life, And then like the last days of high school is when I really started studying the code book. that that's what you need in order to
Mhm.
prep yourself to take the exams. So like even before I left to college to play soccer, like I was already studying. And then I left to do my own thing. And then eventually I came back, and then I kept studying, taking exams. So I already had my licenses and all that. I graduated from college with a drafting and design degree, like drawing the blueprints for houses and stuff like that. But that's not, like, I never worked as that. So basically that went to waste. But eventually, like, trying different things and going different places, living over here in Houston and back home, like, eventually I just fell back into electrical, because it's what I know, it's what I grew up. So I just learned to love it at the end, before starting the company. And then I just eventually sticked with it. Just
Yeah.
my focus remained here.
I mean, you're preaching to the choir right here, because I mean, a lot of the stuff you said, I highly, highly relate to your story and everything too. I mean, it's and I'm sure you getting that drafting and design degree too. There's other elements that can come out of that too, and especially if you get into some, if you got to draw the electrical, if you got to look at plans, obviously that's helped you be able to read
Oh yeah,
plans and
for sure.
adjust and so on too. So that was huge. And it's kind of, I can relate because obviously I went to college, I had a business degree and so on. I mean, there's no better business degree than actual experience in my opinion, and learning it and going through it for the years I did, and being learning under my dad just like you did on the business end of it, because once you have that experience, it's a whole different world than actually
Oh
getting
yeah.
a degree. And I learned that too, but it helps, and that's the thing. So um you doing what you did is very impressive, and especially diving into it and starting a company at 23 years old. So let's talk about that. What made you, I know you have the experience in electrical, it's something you enjoyed doing, it. What made you start your own company instead of work for somebody else?
Yeah, well, like my dad, um
Yeah.
the same way that you were raised, like he teaches us like a way that it's better to be your own boss, to have your own company instead of just working for somebody else. It's just like a better, I guess, like in his eyes, is like it's like a better lifestyle. You get a little bit more freedom, and like all that good stuff that comes with it. So I was just like, I was taught, to think like an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
So like I already had my licenses and all that. Like even like when I got my licenses, like I wasn't like 100% sure that I was gonna like actually start like building my own company. But whenever like I moved to Houston, like one reason I moved to Houston was because I was gonna go and train with the soccer team. So being there in Houston and training, I eventually got bored because that's all I did. So I had like all this free time that I didn't know what to do with. So eventually I just said, well, let me just try to get some work, that way I can bring in, some income at least. But my main focus was, soccer at that time. But then, like a few weeks in or whatever, like I just, I was like, oh, okay, so, I think this is better. Like if I just keep getting work and keep, like, just focusing on trying to, build up my clientele here.
Hmm.
So, eventually that just, it just, I just went with the flow like that, because I just moved to a new city. Like I had family here, like my aunts, uncles, grandpa, but, aside from that, like I didn't know anybody else. So like I didn't really like do much in this new city. So like just coming here to play soccer and then eventually like, getting work little by little, like those two things, like I just really focused on. And, you know, I'm here now with with three technicians that helped me out, and I'm still playing soccer, thankfully.
Yeah, and continuing to grow too, and going off of that though too, what you're saying, I mean, you could have went a different direction. Growing up, I was similar. I mean, in college, when I first started in construction, I'll say to this day, it was a love hate thing. I mean, I didn't really like it because I swept the jobs, I was digging ditches. It wasn't, but
Yeah.
it was me learning the business and also having more of appreciation for it. Because if I would just started at the top, I wouldn't appreciate it like I do
Yeah.
today. So, and me going into trying to do, I was always that one trying to create different businesses or come up with different ideas. But eventually, like something popped out in my brain. It was play the cards you've been dealt. And that's been a big slogan to me, because I grew up in construction. I know it more than anything. And I know it more than a lot of people, and I'm more passionate than, a lot of people with it because I've been through it. That, play the cards you've been dealt, it, and you can sell it, and you can sell yourself too. And I mean, now you have your own business and you're able to continue to grow it because you started from, you've been in it your whole life, you've been working in it, you know this topic more than anybody, and that's how growth happens too eventually, because people can see your passion behind it, to sum that up. So
Oh yeah, for sure. Totally.
yeah, that's the thing. So some of the things you're doing now, I was reading, and this is why I'm happy to have you on too, because I wanted to talk more about these topics. Like you're doing new construction, which is a whole different world than, just doing some electrical maintenance and stuff like that. You're also doing remodels, you're doing lighting, panel upgrades and replacements. Let's talk about each one of these. So, what's the process for, let's say, like new construction? How are you going about that? What are you doing? We'll start there.
Yeah, well, for the new construction, like I actually have, these contractors that I work with that usually, they call me up and they tell me, we're starting this project. Can you bid for it, or can you give us, like a price for it? So, they send it over, and then I'll work on the price. I send it back, and eventually, more than likely, since I'm their go-to electrical contractor, they'll give the work to us, and then I'll just wait for the call whenever like we're ready to step in, once they have all the framing up.
Hmm.
So that'll be like the first phase. Once they have all the framing up, we'll go and install. um we'll prep like all the boxes, all the wiring, the electrical panel for, for it to get it ready for the drywall to come up. And then once the drywall, the painting is up, the cabinets, then we'll come and do like the final phase, which is installing the fixtures, finishing up the panel. We haven't finished it up in the roughing phase, and installing all the outlets, cleaning up, making sure everything looks good, like, the final touches before the general contractors turn it into the owners of the house.
And are you doing any kind of, like, so you go in, you do your electrical roughs, and then do you do any kind of walkthrough with the contractor, with the client, at all, if they wanted to add anything prior to drywall? Are you doing anything like that?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
And usually, I mean, since it's like, custom homes, then usually
Mhm.
they want to add, an outlet here, an outlet there, another light fixture here, an
That
extra
always,
switch, or yeah, for sure. So, before the contractors move into like the starting the drywall, then we just make sure that the homeowners are happy with the, the electrical, like everything, the electrical that's in place right now. If they want to make changes, then we'll make changes, and then once they're, 100% happy, then the general contractors will move over to the drywall installations.
Yeah, and that's like a huge part with us too, is that walkthrough, because there's always something
Yeah.
that's going to change. There's always an outlet that needs to be added because they see reality, and
Yeah.
that's why we always like to do it as a contractor and have, the electrician there walking through, because the electrician will make note of it. You guys go back to and you give us back the pricing, so we can tell the customer, okay, it's going to cost you this, or we deducted this, so you get a credit here, and so on. So that's a big part of the process. How as far as like households and everything, so people know, how are you determining, let's say, the amps in the house, if it's a 300 amp or a 200 amp? How do you determine that? It's just based off size?
Yeah. Yeah, really, like we always use 200 amp. Like here it's rare that you see 300 amp, unless
Okay.
it's, like a huge custom built house where they have like two breaker panels, then something like that. And even like that, like the jobs that my dad does, he does um like the custom builds. So like those huge houses, he puts 200 amp.
Okay.
But like the ones that we're doing, it's a little bit smaller, so we just use one 200 amp panel, and that's just really the one that we stick with. We don't go below 200 because eventually, like, like later on, if they want to add a pool or they want to add, like some hot tub outside or something like that, if in the initial phase, like or if during construction we added like a 150 amp, then in the future they would have to upgrade to a 200. So
Yeah.
we just like since the very beginning we just installed 200 amp, and we just like stick with it.
Yeah, we got a lot of larger homes. We're doing pretty much 400 and
Okay,
300 are
nice.
kind of our average. So yeah, it's just, but I mean, it's in those type of houses with all the lighting and how
Oh yeah,
everything's controlled and everything, there's so many elements down here too. Probably where you are too. It's similar because we deal with hurricanes and hurricane shutters and all this stuff are all on that electric. So generators are big now too, obviously. So it's, sure you're dealing with a lot of those. What about on the remodeling side, though? Are you basically going into a remodel, kind of doing the walkthrough as it stands, or is the contractor ripping out everything and then giving you the plan on the new updated? How's that happen?
yeah. Usually they make a blueprint of like the current house, and then they'll make another one of the like the changes that are gonna be like added to it, and then they'll give me both of those, and then they'll tell me, give me a price on these. And what
Okay.
I also do is like I go and walk through around the house, and just see like what's needed, like how hard the work is really, because there's some remodel houses that's like the whole home remodeling. Sometimes they take off the drywall, but they don't always do that. So I like to go and inspect and then just check that some areas are like accessible, or what areas are going to be harder than others to rewire and stuff like that, or how much material we're going to need. So I just either way I like to walk around the house and just check it out, before we start. And then I have the blueprints with me so I can, refer to the blueprints, and then, check out look around the building, and see what's going on there. And then just I like to ask them questions too, like if the drywall's coming out, if it's not. That really also depends on like what price I give them.
Yeah, and that goes back to, and I'll brush on this with the new construction too. That's why you always do the stuff pre drywall so people know that are listening because it costs more for you guys to go in when
Yeah.
there is drywall. Plus, we got to patch it, or you guys got to go up in an attic when, everything's not closed off with compared to everything being open. It's a lot easier to run wiring and all that too, and especially with can lights and all that. So, just so people know, that are listening, why it's a little
Yeah.
bit pricier with drywall up because it's a lot more labor on your end too. And what you're doing on the remodel side too is it's a good thing because like you said, you're walking through on top of what's on the blueprint, you're making your recommendations as you walk through too, which is important because the customer wants to hear that. The contractor is going to want to hear that too, and you're saying, okay, maybe we should add a light here, maybe there should be an outlet there, we're going to have to move that outlet over there to here because of code. So there's, I mean, what you're doing is pretty cool. That's huge right there too. So, what are you doing on the lighting end now? You said, and I saw on your website you're doing just is it controlled lighting, or are you doing stuff with like smart home lighting? What are you doing with the lighting? Are you just is that just lighting install like fixtures, fans, stuff like that?
Yeah, so a lot of our lighting installs are like the recess lighting. So
Okay.
we do like the outside downlighting recess, like the ones
Okay.
on the eaves.
Yeah.
So we do that. That's catching a lot of homeowners' eyes over here, because not a lot of houses have them. Even not even some of the custom homes have them. So a lot of people are getting that, and they're getting like the inside recess lighting as well, like in the living room, in their bedrooms, in the kitchen. Because a lot of like these like standard homes that they just use the blueprint for all every single house, and they're all the same, and they have like the minimal fixtures, like they don't have much lighting. So they have some small light in the kitchen, and you can't really see anything. So they like to add recess lights there. to, and then just remove the one that they have there. That way they can see more. In the living room, they only have a ceiling fan, so we'll come and add 4 or 6 recessed lights, and we usually install a new switch with every single lighting, unless like the homeowner wants it with an existing switch, or they just want to tap into an existing fixture, then we'll do that. But a lot of times we install a new switch for them, and we use this Leviton brand that's
Mhm.
a smart switch. So it's a Wi-Fi. You can control it with your phone. You can set it on a schedule. You can dim it from your phone. You can turn it on if you're at if you're pulling up to the driveway, you can turn it on there. That way, when you come inside the house, the light's already on. We try to focus more on like whatever's convenient for the homeowner,
Mhm.
and those switches. Everybody's liking those switches, so that just gives it a more like a smarter feel to it,
Mhm.
like a smart home. So once we install that, they like it. So they'll in the future they'll want these switches, to control, the lighting that they already have, or they want to add, more lighting in different areas of the house, and they want these switches. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
we're doing a ton of those too. I mean, the Lutron smart home switch too.
yeah.
I just added a bunch actually in my house personally too, and it's really cool because a lot of people want that. They want to convert their home to where if they're not there, you can turn on the front door, or you can turn on the front lights, you can turn on interior lights if you have dogs or whatever, or if somebody's coming by or whatever. It's just they've come a long way. Switches. I actually had a Lutron expert on one of my episodes here too,
Oh,
and
nice.
he's a lighting control expert. He's actually an Arte as well, and he
Sweet.
is very meticulous on how Lutron lighting goes and the controls on it. And he programs all of it too. But he's doing like high end Lutron lighting, not the smart switches we're putting on. So
Yeah. Yeah, like the whole
it's
systems.
yeah, he's doing some crazy things and shades and all that too, which is really cool. But last thing too, panel upgrades and replacements. I mean, it's self-explanatory, but for the listener that doesn't really know what that is, just brush on that.
Yeah, so like how I said before, is like if we install like a 150 amp in the house, and later on, they want to add a pool, a hot tub, jacuzzi, or something, then we'll come and we'll replace the panel, and we'll upgrade it to a 200 amp. Um, but a lot of like the panel replacements that we do are like the older panel brands that like they don't exist anymore, and they're very hazardous. They're not safe. So we just did one yesterday. Um, like a client of mine just bought this new home, so that's like the first thing that he did is replace the panel to, it was already a 200 amp, but he just wanted to replace it to a new brand, because like the brand that he had was very like bad, and like
Yeah.
the brand doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, so it's like very hazardous, and having a family, like you don't want to have any like safety concerns, for the house. So we came in, and we kept the same 200 amp, but we just upgraded it to a newer brand, a newer everything. So that's a lot of the replacements that we're doing for that
Yeah,
for the
which is
panels.
huge too. I mean, I got an older panel I should probably replace too.
Yeah.
It's not like it's sparking or anything's popping out, but there's a lot I've had, I've been slowly doing some of my electrical too, and a lot of the old stuff does need to be updated. I did all new fixtures. I added some all new LED can lights, which I'm sure that's what you're majority doing is LEDs right now when
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
are they come with bulbs? Are they the kind of flush mount without the bulbs? What are you
Yeah,
using?
the flush mount without the bulbs, the ones that
Yeah.
like it's all just one piece together.
Yeah,
Those are the ones that we're
those are really
installing.
nice too. Yeah, I see more and more getting away from light bulbs too, which is crazy. Since it's my show too, let's talk about I have like a recent issue too, and it's in one of my hallways that basically the switch was off, and this is kind of going off the topic we were just talking about. The switch is turned off, but there's still a current going to both wires. Is that like a short in the wire up in the attic or something? What if that happens? I still got zapped.
So is there like two the
Black and a white wire with a ground
but
and
does it is
changing
there
the
like two
light.
locations?
It's only one flush mount light is where this is, and there's still a current. There was a current that went through, and I even turned the breaker off too, which was really weird.
So
So I don't.
you turn off the breaker and there was still current?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, then
there's a problem.
that's yeah. Yeah, you need to check that out because sometimes like if it turns on from two separate locations, like sometimes there's like, current coming from like both sides,
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
both switches. So that's when it gets like a little tricky and trying to figure out like where it comes from.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, you just need to
I'll
check it
probably
out.
have my
Yeah.
electrician come deal with that one then.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
anyway,
he'll need to like trace the wire to see where it's coming from and just check it out because when it turns off in two locations, when it's a three-way switch, then that's when it gets a little bit tricky and trying to like figure out that stuff.
yeah, and I'm not going to be the one to figure that one out and get zapped again. So no, that helps, and it probably helps the listeners too. Because if you're doing your own stuff in home, be careful too. And I highly recommend hiring somebody that knows what they're doing. I am in construction, so I do know, but situations like
Yeah.
that, I'm not going to mess with it. So, um, let's talk about, so going off, I mean, you say electrical installation is risky. You need someone who will install your new features right the first time so you don't run into major issues down the road. So what are some of these issues that, going off of what I just, it was a great topic to roll into off of what I was just talking about. What are some issues that you've faced?
um Definitely, like having sparks. Like if you turn on the switch, sometimes you can hear the sparks,
Hmm.
or whenever you connect something in an outlet and you disconnect it, like you can hear the same thing sparks, and sometimes you can even see the spark inside. Like lights flickering, smoke detectors going off, every once in a while. I know a lot of people have that problem. um so like in terms of like the smoke detector, sometimes it's just as simple as replacing the batteries.
Hmm.
Either er, like if that doesn't work, then like the next thing that you can do is just replace all the devices, all the smoke detectors, because they're probably just old.
Hmm.
Yeah, the light bulbs, the flickering light bulbs would be like the most common way that we fix it is like if you have a dimmer switch, and you try to dim the bulbs, they start flickering
Yeah.
very fast. So that's because the bulbs are not dimmable bulbs. So
Okay.
yeah, so then the bulbs would need to be replaced to dimmable bulbs. So on the box it says they're non-dimmable or dimmable. So that's something that people need to look at whenever they're buying bulbs for their house, especially if they have dimmers all around, like living room, their bedroom, their kitchen, stuff like that.
What about like a buzzing noise in electrical? I've heard this, not in one of our houses or my house personally, but I've heard, I sell real estate, and I've heard this in a house in the past where it was like almost like a buzzing noise from a light being on. What would that occur from?
Yeah, so we had an issue like that where one of the bathroom vanity fixtures, like one of the bulbs was making a noise. Like
Hmm.
if you put it close to your ear, you can hear the buzzing noise. So what I did is I just replaced all the bulbs. I think it was like two fixtures, and total was like 8 bulbs. So I replaced all 8 bulbs with the dimmable bulbs, and like I didn't hear the buzzing anymore. So it was just
So it was probably a
something simple
bulb
like that.
issue.
Yeah. Another thing too is like sometimes you hear like the dimmers, if you try to like lower it or higher it, sometimes you hear it too.
Hmm.
And it's something like some either the dimmer is just bad, or like there's some dimmers that only have like a certain like wattage, like a limit of wattage that it can hold. So maybe there's too many lights attached to that just one switch, so it's being overloaded. So that can be like another issue with the if the dimmer is making that buzzing noise.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of other stuff too that you've come across that
Yeah.
off the top of your head, but that's the nature of electrical, right? So hire somebody, like I said, that knows what they're doing, and they will make it work right, or just do it right off the beginning too. That's a very important thing. That kind of goes into the next thing too. Like, what about let's talk about your process, like new construction remodels. uh, how do you better serve your clients? Like, let's start from the initial the beginning to the end. How are you going about it?
Well, like since the beginning for remodels, new construction, like during the roughing phase, I just make sure that you know everything that we do, like the customer, the homeowner is happy with it, and it's something that they want. Like they do walkthroughs very often, so when we're working, either they tell us, can you move this outlet, so many feet this way, or can you add another fixture here? Can you do this? And we'll do it, because it's their house, is this, it's custom. So it's to their liking. So I just make sure that everything that we do is what they want, and if they want to make changes, well then, we talk about the changes that they want to make, and uh and then we do it. So that way, like whenever the drywall's up and all that, they don't want to make any more changes,
Hmm.
or they know that it's a little bit harder, how you had said earlier before. So, and I know like sometimes things change. You may want an outlet or a light in a certain area that you didn't want to before, but I just try to make sure that the customer's happy before we finish up like the roofing phase the roofing phase of like the electrical for the new construction and remodeling.
After the construction's done, say it's a new house too. Are
Yeah.
you warranting everything? Are you gonna how are you abiding by the warranty? What are you doing if there's any issues? Are you maintaining that relationship with the customer? What are you doing?
Yeah, like even after like we finish, then we have a 1 year warranty on like the labor, on any parts, or anything that we provide. So if anything that we provide, like if a light bulb or one of those recess LED fixtures that we provide, if it goes out within a year from the date of the invoice, then we'll go and replace it, no charge. So
Okay.
anything like labor or parts, we warranty all that for a year.
So if it's outside, if something happens outside of a year, and it should or not have happened, maybe a wire got cut and it got worse over time or something like that, and the light started working, would you still honor that replacement or that repair, or how do you go about that too?
Yeah, I mean, if it's like out of the year, then I let them know that it's out of the year.
Yeah,
But if it's, yeah, like you said, like if it's something that,
should have not happened.
yeah, like on our part, then yeah, like I'll definitely say, well, you know what, like I'll fix it. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah, I had to
Um,
hit you with that question because I'm
yeah,
big with that too. Because we're big on taking care of people. If it's something that should have not have happened, I mean,
for
I always
sure.
go over, I look at it, and if it's something that happened because it happened, and unfortunately it happened, then they know. But if it's something that should have not have happened and it was installed wrong or something
Yeah,
like that, we'll take care of it too. I'm big on that
yeah, for
too.
sure. Like if it's, I mean, if it's something like that, yeah, like our fault, like for sure, yeah, we'll take care of it.
So going into, like if somebody's looking for an electrician, and this is because a lot of people, obviously call electricians because they need some, and this isn't new construction. Let's kind of go off of somebody's living in the house and so on. What are some things they should look for when calling an electrician? Because there's a lot of different options out there. Like, when they're calling electrical company, what are they looking for? Why should they hire somebody like yourself?
Yeah, well, first, the most important thing is just to make sure that they're licensed.
Yeah.
They're licensed, that that they've gone, like to the school through, and they have insurance, because that's really the most important thing. I've came across jobs where they call me because the other electrician that they called took their money and just never came back, and the work that they did is just like totally bad. um Another thing is, like, we get called in because they install a light fixture wrong, and as soon as, or some switches or outlets, and as soon as like I remove the device, then I can like clearly see that it's installed wrong, and then I just need to like replace the wires, flip them around or whatever, and then it's done. So first of all, that's the most important thing, just to make sure that they're licensed and they're like a legit electrician. Another thing is you have to look at like who they are as a person. Like if it's a big company, that you have to, make sure like who they're gonna have at your house, taking care of you, because like that interaction, like it's very important. You want to have somebody that's a good person. Somebody you can have a conversation with, that's gonna look out for you. Taking care of your stuff, taking care of the problem, whatever problem that you may need. And I mean, if it's a small company, it's the same thing, but that's a little bit easier to do, especially now with like social media. If the company, if you find them on Instagram, Facebook, and all that good stuff, then you can see like pictures of them, or pictures of, or like videos of them, talking or working, or I mean, or if you're following them, like you can see what they post on their stories. You can see if they're a good person or not. You can see the type of work they do or not. So that would be like another thing. That's probably, I think, like another. I think that's like as important as having the license, is just being a good person.
Mhm.
That way you don't hire like that kind of like electrician where it's just like they just take your money and leave, because that's all they care about is the money, and not like taking care of the customer's problems.
Yeah, and let's go into that though. Like how, like as far as the pricing aspect of it too. I mean, is there a distinguished kind of line of pricing that you deal with? Like what should somebody look for, say, if they want to add a can light or if they want an outlet fixed or on average, pricing? Because there is people in fear that they're going to get screwed over some way somehow. I mean, I deal with it as a contractor. They were with a bad contractor or with a bad builder or wherever they're from, and then they come and they're a lot more cautious, and we kind of have to explain. I mean, we've been in a business for over 25 years. We're not here to screw you. We have a good
Yeah.
reputation, and obviously they can do their research too. I always say just do your research, like you just said. So, I mean, as far as pricing, I mean, not a lot of people know how much a new outlet edition is going to cost, or how much to add a light, or how much will it cost for you to install their fan. So, what should they look for in that aspect of it?
Yeah, well, like in terms of pricing, I mean, everybody's pricing is different, but
Yeah.
like somebody that's like actually like knows what they're doing, like with
Hmm.
the license, with insurance, like their pricing is going to be a little bit more than somebody who does it as somebody who's like not quite have those licenses yet, like to own a company, but maybe they just started, they have like a year or 2 years in the industry, and they do like side work. Like their pricing is going to be like way cheaper, because they just want to make that extra money. So like the cheapest price is not always the best work.
Hmm.
So so that's definitely like something that like a lot of people, they go towards the best, like the cheapest price, because I mean, like it's human nature, right? Everybody like, that's the thing that they look at too, is like the cheapest price. But everybody has to know that that's not always like the best quality of work. So that quality is always going to be more pricier than the than the average electrician, or whatever the industry is.
So you going hourly? Or are you going per install? How can somebody look at if they do call you to, let's just example, I need an outlet added in my kitchen. Are you out just going by the hourly? You going off of the part
Yeah.
too? And
Yeah,
you can.
for something like that, yeah, we would go by like the
Okay.
hourly. Just also like if like I try to give them a price, like if over the phone, or if they message me on Facebook, Instagram. So I try to give them a price like that. If it sounds like too complicated, too like tricky, then I try to go out and
Yeah.
see for myself, and then just try to determine how many hours it'll take to complete it, plus like the material and all that. But there's like some things that we do price like by item, which would be like the Reese's lights,
Hmm.
like that, especially like the outside Reese's lights, just because like whenever we first started doing those installations, like I find a pricing like system that works for that specifically. So but yeah, like I use like different like pricing systems, for like I just try to test out different ways to price,
Hmm.
and then like I generally stick to whatever's like whatever, makes sense, or whatever is, easy to price. But like I'm definitely now like leaning more into like the
Yeah.
hourly and the materials.
Well, you price the way that that's going to make you money.
Yeah.
Obviously you're in the business to make money. People have to understand that too. And when it comes to electrical, I do not recommend paying somebody on the side that is not licensed,
Yeah,
even
for
if it's
sure.
a friend or somebody that, oh, I did electrical in the past, because one little thing can cause a lot of damage to the house, a spark, any
Oh
kind of
yeah.
thing like that. It's such a complicated thing. I jokingly said, like, because I know electrical, I've done it in the past and stuff, but there's certain things that I won't do as a
Yeah.
contract. It's just you don't. It's something that's it's important to hire somebody that knows what they're doing, but it all stems off of you get what you pay for too. And
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you have a company, you're established, you're licensed, you got three good guys working for you now. Um, and that's important. And people are going to hire somebody that's going to do a good job, but then also you're going to cover it too. You're not going to be that guy that's paid on the side. And once everything blows up in the house, he's nowhere to be found,
Yeah.
you know? So
Yeah, that's
that's,
happened.
that's what people need to take into consideration. And, by you, all somebody's got to do as far as pricing is ask you. If they're searching for the cheapest number, then maybe you're not meant to work for them, but then
Mhm.
you're going to get a lot of referrals off the people that are willing to pay it. And they're going to refer you to their friends and family and so on. And then you're going to keep growing and get more business by doing good work. So, no, I hear you on that one. That's a tough question because a lot of people are price driven, and if it's something simple like an outlet, they go, "Well, why would I pay you that when I can pay this
Yeah.
guy this?" Well, if you know what you're doing, so not that the other guy doesn't, but you're going to do it the proper way per code, the way it's supposed to be installed, versus another guy that might just tie into a wire and run it and then just let it be and hope for the best. So
Yeah. Hopefully it's gonna last a while.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So nothing blows up in between. So, I mean, going off of that too, though, are there any do-it-yourself projects people can do in electrical? I mean, what that you would recommend is like hanging a fixture. I know maybe for me, hanging a fixture isn't that hard, but for somebody else, it might be something they probably shouldn't do. Or a fan, fans to me are kind of easy, but some other people, it's probably a challenge. So, is there anything simple you would recommend, or probably just call you?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a hard one because electrical is like one of those things that you need to be careful with
Yeah,
because like if you install it the wrong way, I mean, as like if you install a fixture the wrong way, as soon as you turn it on, it might pop,
yeah.
or and
You
then you
blow
don't know
up the
what's going
fixture.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah, or you like I've had instances where I go out and I check, this outlet that doesn't work. Well, as soon as I take out the outlet, it's all burnt from the back, like
uh,
it's melted. And I mean, it still works. Like there's still power to it, but the whole like half of the back of it is melted. So it's like, when people want to do things themselves, I mean, like I try to like not like recommend them anything like to do besides basically just like changing out like light bulbs or
yeah.
stuff like that, because yeah, it's very like you need to be like really careful with stuff like that that may eventually like lead to the house being burned or something like that. So that's
Yeah.
that's very hard
It's a
to
hard question.
recommend like
Yeah,
that.
it's a
Yeah,
hard, definitely a hard question. You and the other electrician I had on my show too, he said the exact same thing. He goes, "Call
yeah,
me." He goes, or call an electrician or a licensed electrician too. I mean, a light bulb, you can change a light bulb, but stuff like that, yeah, I wouldn't risk it too, because you're dealing with power, and you can get hurt, or you can hurt
yeah,
somebody else, or you can burn your house down or whatever. There's a lot of elements there. So very
yeah.
risky.
It's dangerous stuff. Yeah.
So with that being said too, so let's go into a different what are some of the most challenging projects you have personally faced as an electrician? Anything you can name off the top of your head?
Challenging projects. I mean,
Nothing's
definitely some of
challenging.
the yeah. I mean, every once in a while, you get something new, so whenever you get something new that you haven't like faced before, then that's definitely a challenge. But you figure it out. I mean, we've had like some commercial projects, like lighting installations, where I price it like a certain way, because I think it's gonna take so many hours or whatever, and then it ends up being like a whole day project. Like it's something that like once you started, like you don't know like what's
Hmm.
like you don't like something comes up that you don't like you can't see like from the outside. So it's like just something random comes up, like we were installing these chandeliers in this office, and like I thought that it was just going to be like a simple just like tying into the ones that they already had, but it turns out like that when we actually want to go do the work, like it was a different type of voltage, so it wasn't gonna work because it was gonna burn down like the new ones that we're gonna install. So we had to like go and find the voltage that we needed from like somewhere else, like in the hallway or something like that, up in the attic. And then once we found it, then we had to like bring it to the offices that these chandeliers were going to be installed in, and add a new switch and add all this and run new wire. And that's like something that you can't like see from the outside. You have to start the work in order to find it. But just like stuff like that where you just don't know. Sometimes you're installing like the recessed lighting for the outside. Sometimes there's no attic, so you just
Hmm.
have to find ways to just go around it, and just get the job done. Or sometimes you just can't get done.
Yeah.
Y-
No, yeah, that's in any construction business too. You always
yeah,
have to have that pivot point to where if you just have to figure it out. I mean, I deal with new construction. We always do, where an architect can draw something up. No offense to architects, but in reality, sometimes it just doesn't work, and you have to
yeah,
pivot
yeah,
to, change that and do something different. Or if a wall shows up that it's a structural wall and the customer doesn't like it, I just had this happen. We have to figure out something to make it disappear, or to where the eye can't see it. So you're always kind of pivoting. You're always trying to figure out something different. And that's what challenging about this industry too, but you enjoy it. I enjoy it. So that's what we have to face on a daily basis too. And especially in electrical, I mean, if you're adding lights to a soffit and there's no attic access for which they're usually, I mean, or there's no way to get to those soffits, for
yeah,
example, it's just, it's a challenge, but you got to
yeah.
figure it out. That's the thing. So I'm sure you have before. Um, so let's go into this too, like, because it's so big, and this kind of goes off of something you were talking about in the past about when hiring an electrician or hiring an electrical company. Employees, like, you gotta have people that still have that same mindset as you. You gotta have people you can trust, that are gonna basically take care of the customers just like yourself, because you being the owner of the company, that's what you want. So what critical skills are you looking for when hiring an electrician for your company? How are you finding these guys? How are you making them stick to the same beliefs or core values that you have? I know you got 3 guys now. I'm guessing they're all good. Just how are you going about that process?
Yeah, well, like mainly the thing that I look for is like it's not skill, but it's like if they're a good person, if I know them, because some of them like I already knew before. So it's
Okay.
like if I know them and I know they're like a good person, and I know like that they communicate well, they're not gonna like screw somebody over, for a dollar or anything like that. Then that just gives me like like something like that would like help me like move more towards hiring them, because the skill can be taught, but like somebody's character is very hard to change. If it's like if they're a negative person, doesn't matter how good their skill is. So that's really like what I look for, is like if you're a good person, if you communicate well, if you're not going to screw somebody over for a dollar, and you're just going to get things done right, then that's really like what I look for. Because the skill, I mean, the skill can be taught, so that's really like no problem.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, because you can't teach somebody what you just said and charisma and have a good attitude. You can't
Yeah.
teach that. And you can't teach somebody. We do the same when hiring. I'm about to be in the process of hiring somebody for the office and then hiring another person for out in the jobs or whatever. But it's still, you got to have that charisma and will to learn and will to kind of take initiative and everything too, but also just be happy and just, I mean, because there's people that are out there that are just miserable, you
Yeah.
know, and you can't change that. That's just their personality and who they are. But like in our industry, you can teach people how to do certain things. Yeah, it's going to take you. It's nice to find somebody that knows how to do it, but you can't teach. What you said, positivity, charisma, and what you're looking for, a good attitude, and so on. So I like that approach to it too. It's important, especially with people because you trust them.
Yeah.
Obviously, I can't hire everybody I know, but I have
Yeah.
I have a friend, a really good, a close friend of mine that's working for our company now. He does a tremendous job, but he was in the hospitality business. Everybody loved him. They love his personality, and he does all our warranty stuff. He does some sales with me too, and everybody loves the guy, and he's been doing great at what he does for us too. And so I mean, and that's the thing, you find those type of people, you got to keep them for sure. So yeah, I like that strategy too. um so like as far as what like say somebody wants to add something to their, this is kind of a real estate question. I got a lot of people that are into real estate and so on. What electrical wise can somebody, like say you buy an older house or you have a current house, what can you add to a house to, let's say, up the value of the property? We're going on a real estate angle. I know I'm hitting you with all these different angles with questions, but that's what this show's about, because I'm trying to help everybody. That's what it's all about, what to look for in your industry. So, I mean, if somebody wanted to, let's say, up the value of a property, what would you recommend them do if it was an older house?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the light fixtures, because
Yeah.
the light fixtures is like as soon as you walk into the house, even before you walk in, you might see, these like old rusted oh coach lights outside the garage. You might think, oh man, this is an old house. But if you upgrade those, right off the spot, as soon as you pull up to the driveway, you're gonna see, new fixtures outside. Or if you add, landscape lighting or the downlighting in the soffit, you'll see like, oh man, I like these lights. It gives like that like newer, more modern look to it. So like the outside definitely adding like those light fixtures. And I mean the inside is the same thing. You have all these old chandeliers, like those gold color chandeliers that that nobody likes. Um, Definitely replacing those and replacing the bulbs as well, and just adding like the LED bulbs, because all these old style bulbs, the incandescent, like they waste too much electricity and they're not bright enough. And the LEDs, I mean, they save you money and they're way brighter than the old ones. So like the fixtures is like just definitely something that would be like a must change if you're adding to if you're looking for like to add value and to add like a more modern look to the house. Like that's really the way to go. Another thing would be like you don't need to rewire the whole house, but like if everything works good, then replacing like the switches, the outlets, because I know sometimes they're like that like the almond, the yellowish color, and not a lot of people like that color. So like the more modern way is like the white ones.
Hmm.
So so that's really like those two things would really give like the whole house a more modern look. Totally.
Yeah, I agree. The outlets are a huge thing, especially raising outlets too, where you have TVs. That's another
Oh
big
yeah.
thing. I can't stand the lower ones, even though because everybody used to have the tube TVs that they'd set on a dresser or something. But
Yeah.
not anymore. So raising outlets, like you said, fixtures, that's huge. Um, I get it with the fixtures. The house I bought had the oldest looking fixtures too. Gold fixtures are back in though, not the old looking ones, but modern gold. So just it's just so people know that too. There's a lot of gold's back, made a comeback, but not the it's got to be a modern look to it.
Yeah, the ones with the
Um
little crystals on them, and
yeah,
yeah,
get
those
rid
are
of the
good too.
crystals and yeah. Yeah, and then like we talked about earlier, swapping out your can lights for LED cans. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah,
I
for
did it in
sure.
my house. It made such a big difference with how bright the light is, and it's a white light versus that yellowish, crappy light that the old cans used to put off with the light bulbs. So that was a big change that I did too. And, exterior lighting too. I mean, I had some
Oh
ugly
yeah,
exterior lights on and coach lights. And yeah, I swapped them out for some modern ones. It changed the whole look of the front of the house too. So
yeah,
it's just going off of what I did here. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. I mean, but what you said right off the bat, like changing out your fans from those old plain white fans that
yeah.
everybody used to have into the cheaper fans to some nicer modern looking fan. It's huge. It's a huge difference. Like
Oh
people
yeah,
take,
for
and
sure.
it changes the whole look of the house in general. So
And
I
if you paint the house too, like the walls, then
mhm.
that's like a whole different game.
Oh, then now you're selling the house. Yeah.
Oh
So you
yeah, you
got
paint the walls, change the fixtures. Yeah, like I mean, that's it.
yeah. See, now you sound like a realtor. There you
Yeah.
go. You had another profession right there. Let's talk about like some trends that you're seeing in electrical now, like in new construction. I mean, we just kind of talked about a lot of them, but is there any other things that you're seeing, like in kitchens or baths? Are you seeing any kind of differences as far as trend wise in what you're doing? Because I know I am in the custom home market. So what are you seeing?
Yeah, well, I mean, if it's like the custom homes, like I know a lot of people are transitioning like to I mean to the smart switches that we were talking about earlier. The smart switches, they even have like some smart outlets now that you can control with your phone. They have like I mean, I'm pretty sure you've seen like the outlets that have the little USB,
Mm-hmm.
like just to charge your phone, like little simple things like that. Um, Light fixtures is like all LED. You don't see any of the older ones, so the older type bulbs. So everybody's just already like sticking to the newer look of them. I mean, definitely the thing that's catching on is like the Ring or the Google Nest, like the doorbells,
Mm-hmm.
ones with the little camera on. Nobody uses those like the just the button ones anymore. Now everybody has a camera in the doorbell, or they're using like the Ring, the floodlights with the camera too.
Mm-hmm.
So every time they turn on at night with the motion, that's when they start recording.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people are using those for like security purposes.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm seeing a ton of that. Like another thing, a lot more can lights.
Yeah,
there's
the whole
I
house.
deal with decorators. They like the more modern look too, so they're kind of getting rid of, not completely. We're still doing them, but those bar lights over mirrors. So the bathroom vanity
Oh
bar
yeah,
lights, they're getting rid of those, and they're doing a can light above or multiple can lights because the can lights produce a better light,
yeah,
clearer light, so people can see if a woman's putting on makeup or whatever. It's a lot brighter in the bathroom. Backlit mirrors, that's huge. We're doing a ton of those now
yeah.
where the
I've
mirrors
seen some
actually
of
have the
them.
backlighting on them too. That's huge now.
Yeah, I don't do those. I haven't done those mirror ones here, but like the houses that my dad does, like the contractors are starting to get into that. So
Mhm.
he's been installing a lot of those mirrors with the lights on, and
Yeah.
I've seen him. Yeah, the times that like he shows me, the work that he does, like I've seen them. So I mean, they look pretty cool.
4-inch can lights over 6-inch, a ton of 4-inch now. That's what we're doing too. Bright too, and they come in levels. You can level them 1 through 4 as far as brightness, so it's specific to the room. If it's not
Yeah,
controlled through the control 4 or whatever, there's you can pull out a hair dryer out of something now that's already pre-wired. There's all this stuff coming out now with electrical. A lot of smart home stuff. And that kind of gets me into the next topic too. You as an electrician, obviously, you know energy efficiency is taken off, and there's a lot of ways that you're implementing that now too. But with solar on the horizon, obviously you're still going to be you doing new construction. You're going to still I don't think electricians will ever go away, because solar is going to still have to power lights. You're still going to
Yeah.
have can lights and so on. So, with energy efficiency, what are you seeing for more energy efficiency in houses? What should people be looking at? What should people, we talked about can lights. Obviously, that's a huge one. But what other things are you seeing in the electrical world?
I mean, for sure, like the can lighting, just any lighting really that's LED. That's really like the energy saver right there. Like like all the other bulbs, like the ones that you can't even touch because they're hot.
Yeah.
Like those are waste too much power, then condense it. So really, like anything LED fixtures, that's really what's gonna help it. Um, I mean the appliances too. The appliances are the ones that they help,
Mm.
like the refrigerator, the microwave, the washer, the dryer. Like they have all these new ones coming out too that like they waste very little power compared to like the old ones that we grew up in our parents house and stuff like that. So the appliances, the fixtures, like a lot of the devices that people are using now too, like the hair dryers or stuff like that. I mean, everything's coming out new, so they're just changing the stuff, just trying to make it better.
Yeah, everything's becoming energy efficient, energy
Yeah.
rated too. I mean, it all stems together in the houses too. I've talked about this with like energy efficiency in general. Obviously the LED lighting, but what ties into that is insulation. We're doing a ton of spray foam. Our doors, windows, and doors being low E meaning just there's a tint to them, so not as
Okay.
much
Nice.
natural lights coming or bright lights coming in from the outside that heats the home too. Energy efficiency in AC systems. I'm currently bidding the house. I hope we get the job, but I got a house now I'm working on he wants it completely off the grid. So
Mhm.
there's so many energy efficient elements to this house that, with solar and having the panels up top, and then water catching systems and all this different stuff to make this house literally become off the grid eventually, is his kind of whole thing with it, which in Florida it's possible to do. We get enough sunlight. So it's crazy how things are becoming, and the more efficient they're becoming, which is great. It's a great thing too, because I'd rather see my power bill go down, not up. So it's a
Yeah,
big
for sure.
big thing to see, and the future. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff coming around the corner in that aspect too, especially in your world. That you're never ending your studies, my friend. Let's put it that way, because you're always going to be learning something new that comes out, for
Oh
sure.
yeah, especially like if you see it for the first time and you don't know what it is, and then you're like, "Oh man, that's crazy." I didn't even know that they had that.
Yeah, I mean, well, you can go now if you think about it. I mean, with stuff like you can go now and go to Lowe's and get Lutron switches, like we
Oh
talked
yeah.
about earlier, that you can control from your phone. To be able to have that, or not even the Lutron ones. You can get less expensive ones. I recommend Lutron because it's a good product, and they back their product. But there's other ones that Lowe's carries, or Home Depot carries, or Ace or whatever, that you can go get and add into your home, that makes it efficient, and you can dim lights and so on too. That it's crazy. It's I'm adding it slowly to my home. Don't do that at home yourself, but
Yeah.
and little by little, and it's so soon I want to be able to control my phone or my whole entire house by this. And it's
Convenience.
yeah, way more convenient. If I'm not here, I can turn the outside lights on, like I said, or open my garage or whatever. It's crazy. It's crazy the more stuff they keep coming out with, but it's not a bad thing, I guess. So compared to what we grew up with.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it's not. Yeah,
yeah,
future's coming.
yeah, exactly. And you're seeing more and more of it too. So, um, let's get into you personally, getting towards the end here. We've been going for about an hour. So, what about you personally? I always ask this question because and I always say this is it's I get a different answer every time, and it's such a great answer, but it's more personal. It's about you. So, what about you personally? What lessons have you learned throughout your journey that we should all apply to our own business or our own lives that can help us grow? Because obviously, you starting your own business at 23, I mean, it's impressive alone. So, what have you learned? What about you?
Well, I mean, definitely this is not easy. Like it starting your own business. I mean, it doesn't matter what age. It's gonna be hard, and there's gonna be times where like some projects. I mean, you're gonna lose money, and it's not gonna happen like one time. It's gonna happen a lot of times.
Mhm.
But they're the ones like those type of projects is when you lose money is like you learn from it. It's gonna make you stronger. It's gonna give you more knowledge. That way, whenever you come across a situation like that, um, you already know what to do, and you don't make that same mistake that you did the first time. Sometimes you mess up in a project and you do, some damage to the house that you're not supposed to. You have to fix it, and like it still happens to us, but like something like that, like I've learned not to really like get down on it or to really
Mhm.
like think about it too much. It's just like if it happens, like it happens now. Now what I got to do to fix it? Like I just transition like my mind like real quick like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, just different things that happen too. Like you, with whatever thing that happens, you have to like practice like your mind for it to just like switch. Like if even if I'm not the one that does the mistake, if one of the guys does a mistake, like I have to like teach my mind that like it's my fault, because as the business owners, I mean everything that happens is your fault. So, maybe I didn't teach the guy, what he's supposed to do exactly, so he did what he thought was right, and something bad happened. So, next time, like now I got to explain it better, and just make sure that he doesn't do it again. So I mean that's something big, especially like just not to like dwell on the mistakes that you or anybody in your company makes. Like that's something that really like helped me out a lot.
Yeah, you're taking ownership. That's the
Yeah.
thing. You're not pointing the finger at anybody else, but that's business 101 too. I mean, I've screwed up many times and taken ownership of it. If you screw up and then you lie and say, I don't know why that happened," people can read the BS. I mean, that's the thing. People can see right through it. You're better off just owning up to it and fixing it, and that's the thing. And we as contractors and our business too is just their mistakes happen. Obviously, I'm dealing with and my brother who is with me too, we deal with a bunch of different subcontractors, customers, so on. But subcontractors, if there's a mistake that happens, it's on us as the builder too, and we take initiative to get it done. We'll get it fixed. I got to calm down a lot of customers because we live in a now world where everybody wants it done now,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
people need to
Absolutely.
learn a lot more patience too, and we take care of it. I mean, it may not happen with the snap of a finger, but if you own up to it and you do what you got to do and do it the right way, like you are, you're sky's the limit for you and your company. People like people that take ownership of their mistakes or do it the right way or whatever. If you mess up, you take ownership, you fix it, make it right, and then you're going to be fine. I mean, that's the thing. And during a build, I always say we might have a bump in the road with a customer, but by the end, on the final walkthrough, when they're taking ownership of that house, they don't remember it. They're happy. They're
Yeah.
taking ownership. We're going to resolve the problems after when they do take ownership, if there is any. We're going to be there. That's what they want. We live in a now world where I want it done now, but people realize that everybody has lives. We all, have different million different things going on. Most people that are in business understand that. Other people will understand it. It's just, yeah, no, I like what you said there. That was good
Yeah,
too.
and like the stuff that like the times that it does happen, when we make a mistake, like at the end of the day, like whenever we get it fixed, whether we fix it ourselves or maybe we do more damage in the sheetrock, that than we planned. I call a painter. They come and they fix it. At the end of the day, when it gets done, like they're happy.
Mhm.
Like they're happy. That you took care of it, and you did what you had to do to fix it. And I mean, they don't like they're happy, and they give us more work. After that,
Mhm.
because they like the fact that, like how you said, like we take ownership, and we fix it, we fix the stuff.
Yeah, and that's what's going to get you ahead of a lot of other
Yeah.
electricians or contractors too. Because I mean, I've dealt with contractors that they come in on a repair for something, they completely miss the studs on the drywall or don't cut it out. They just cut a hole and they leave it.
Yeah.
And then that's it. They fix their problem, and I've dealt with plumbers and stuff like that, and they'll fix the issue, and then there's just a hole in the drywall. So then customer's like, okay, you fixed it, but and then they call me, and because I've dealt with it with home watch stuff too, and then I got to get a drywall guy there, and then they gotta, to do it right. Long story short, off of what I'm going on there, without going on a tangent, is you are solving the problem, everything in one. So you go in, you install an outlet, you hit too much drywall, you're going to get the drywall guy there to patch the drywall, or you're going to do it yourself, and then you're going to get the painter there to mud it and paint it and make it look like it was before. That's what people want. They don't want something just left one piece at a time. They want the whole thing finalized, and if you do that, they're going to be a lot happier
Oh
than
yeah.
you just putting in an outlet, leaving a hole in the wall, and saying, all
Yeah.
right, you hire a drywaller and a painter, and then that's more steps that they have to deal with, and they're busy too. So do it all in one. You'll get a lot farther. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they
So,
respect you more. The clients, like they respect you for doing that.
mhm. Oh, big time. It's gonna go 10 million miles farther than
Yeah.
anybody that just leaves a hole in the wall. So the little things, man, I preach on it all the time, and I still don't get why people don't do it, but it's the little things that you do to go above and beyond for people that it makes a huge impact. It really does. And even after the fact, after like we build a house, I do home watch. I still take care of customers 5 years after the home build. I'm dealing with a customer now where he's going to be out of town. I got he needs a cabinet repair. He's like, can you meet the cabinet guy? You just look over everything and let me know what you think, so on. But that's him putting that trust in me, to give my opinion. Is it going to cost too much? Is it going to be fair? Does he have to rip out the whole cabinet? I trust my cabinet guy. He's going to tell me if I can just put a filler piece, I can do this, then we're good. But if I got to replace the whole cabinet, I'm going to have to let the customer know because there was water damage on it and so on. But it's the little things that stand out the most. That's for sure. And you're doing them. So congrats to you. I mean, you're going to keep on growing for sure. Speaking of growing too, like as far as your future, where will we see you, and where will we see Irvin in the future? Who will you be? I like asking this question because I always ask about your past. So let's ask, where are you going to be 5-10 years from now? And where's Retiz Electric going to be too?
Yeah, definitely in multiple cities across Texas.
There you go.
So probably like Houston, Austin, San Antonio. Like the Dallas, the major cities for sure. Um, I mean, I plan to build the company, as big as I can. To help out as much clients as I can. Um, and just help them solve their problems, even if it's electrical or not. I mean, if they're buying a new house, they need help moving. I mean, they can call us and we'll help 'em move. It's not just like the electrical, part that we solve. Is whatever problem they have, we'll be on it. Um, totally, like that's one thing that I really like try to. That's one thing that I tell my clients is like, whatever you need, whatever problem you need, like we're here, like whether it's electrical or not. I mean, just call us, like we're here to help. So definitely doing that at a higher scale, like in different cities, having people all over, just make sure everybody knows who we are,
Mhm.
and just doing like being the better company out there that's gonna have like the best people, the best technicians, the best customer service reps, the best sales reps, just taking care and getting to know the clients at a personal level, and just making long lasting relationships with them, for sure.
Yeah, that's huge because I mean, even doing little things outside of what you do, it's gonna drive you a long way because they're gonna remember that. So whenever they
Oh
need
yeah.
electrical, who are
Totally.
they gonna think of? That they're gonna think of Irvin that helped me bring my trash can up, or Irvin that helped. This problem happened, so I need it. He helped me right away, or I had to pick something up and I couldn't pick it up, and he helped me lift it and pull it inside. Whatever. I mean, it's little things like that. I do that all the time for people. I even wrote, like, every year I do handwritten Christmas cards, and I say, if you ever need anything, I know we built the past customers, and I always say, I know we built your house. If you ever need anything, let me know. I had a lady call me last year, and she said, I have this gutter issue. I can't get a hold of any gutter companies that are willing to do a small fix for me. Can you come over and look at this? Well, out of my own time, I went over there on a Saturday, looked at it. Wasn't that big of a deal. Called my gutter guy. He didn't really want to do it, but because it's me and we give him a lot of business, they did it. They went over there, added a downspout for her. And long story short, she sent me a gift card in the mail saying, I'm the best thing ever.
Nice.
Thank you so much. So, but she'll always remember that too. And that's the thing. It's all part of business, it's all part of being top of mind. And not a lot of people are willing to take the time to do that. Their excuses are, I'm tired, I work, I can't. Why should I help them? It's about them personally and nobody else. And when you get away from that mindset, man, things change big time for sure.
Yeah,
So,
and those people, they're gonna remember you next time they need a new house.
yeah. Oh yeah. That's the whole long-term play too. I'm big on
Yeah.
that long-term play. You have to be in business. If you're not, then because especially this business, I deal with people 4 or 5 years down the road. I've been it's people will reach out to me, hey, remember me? I'm more of a facial person. I should get better
Yeah.
with names, but I meet so many people that it's hard with names. But if I see them in person, yeah, of course I remember you. So it's very long term. You're in the same type of business where if you just get in front of people, they'll remember you. You just got to do something to make them remember you. Not a lot of people are willing to do it. So that's as far as that. But last question, this is what this show's about. I know we brushed on this kind of stuff a bunch, but what exactly do people need to look for when putting electrical in their home, or when doing a renovation, new construction, or just an electrical repair? And why should they choose Irvin Retiz of Retiz Electric as their contractor of choice?
So yeah, so going back to like how I said earlier, is like, just look for, I mean, if you're not from Houston or any part of Texas, right? Like, you need to look for like somebody that's gonna have like good technicians, like somebody that's gonna be a good person, and not somebody that's just gonna go walk into your house in a bad mood and just fix what they need to fix and leave. People want that interaction. So like, that's the main thing. Like, just make sure that whoever you call is a good person, and knows what they're doing, and is willing to do the right thing and the correct thing. Not like half-ass the work. So, I mean, if you're in Houston or any part of Texas, then like, you would know, if you're listening to this whole podcast, that we do the right thing. We do the right thing the first time. That way, we don't have to go back the next day or like next week and then try to fix it. We always try to improve every single time we do something. That way nothing like that happens, and everything just is taken care of the first time. And we try to build relationships with every single customer that we interact with, even if they're just like potential clients and they don't call us to do the work. We try to be friends with them. Says relationships is a very important part of it.
Yeah, hire somebody that knows what they're doing, that's licensed. We'll go right
Yeah.
back to that again. and has a good
Big
reputation
one.
too.
Yeah.
Reputation's huge. Don't base your hirings off of price. That's what I got out of that whole thing too, and what we talked about earlier as well. It's important. I mean, it's in any business, it's important. I mean, a lot of people are price driven. I find myself in certain situations being price driven too. I'm not going to buy the most expensive TV if there's a comparable TV for
Yeah.
a little bit less, or if it's a good name brand that's on sale. But there's other situations as far as labor and getting it done right. If it's something with your personal house where you live and it's a big expense, you want it done right. I mean, you're not going to pay, overpay. Obviously, that's where research comes in. A lot of people like to price stuff, which is fine, and just price people with good reputation or reputations that it's in the world we live in. Long story short, you can find anything online. Do your research. I always preach that to people too, because we live in that world. If there's something bad about somebody, you can probably find it,
Oh
and
yeah.
that's the thing. And you're going about it right. You got a smaller business right now. Obviously you're going to continue to grow, but your growth's going to come off of just doing things right off the bat, and taking care of people after the fact too. That's what it's all about for sure.
Yeah, it's just not just finishing the work and just forgetting about them and just moving on to the next customer.
Yeah.
Taking care of like the, your repeat customer. That's
Well, it's like it's sales 101. I mean, it's no matter what. It's like even with me with real estate, I'm not going to sell somebody a house and never talk to them again. I'm
yeah.
going to make sure I'm going to be friends with that person,
Yeah, yeah,
continue
for
the
sure.
relationship, and make sure they're okay. Check on them here. Yeah, I'm not going to be pesky and call them every week and be like, "Hey, how's that house I sold?" But it's just continuing long-term relationships and build a friendship with somebody, because once you do that, it's going to last. I mean, they're going to remember you. They're going to go to you when they need something. Take care of them when they do need something too. And I do that all the time. I showed a past customer's house. He was out of town, and he goes, "Hey, man, while you're there, you mind looking at something for me?" Because I was showing his house. I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. You're allowing
Yeah.
me to show your house that we built for you. Of course. Like, I'll take a look at it." So I didn't have to look at it for him, but I did, and now I'm gonna fix it for him. So
Oh,
it's
nice. Yeah.
just doing those things. Yeah, Irvin, this has been great, man. Awesome info. Obviously, like I said, I definitely wanted to have you on, talk some electrical with you. Such a huge topic. Everybody hire a good electrician. Don't do it yourself unless you really know what you're doing, because you don't want to get electrocuted. Long story short. And no, Irvin, this has been awesome. Where can people find and connect with you?
On Instagram especially because that's where I'm mostly at. It's at Irvin_Retiz, or on Facebook, it's just Irvin Retiz.
Cool.
That's
Simple.
where I'm mostly at. Yeah, simple.
And then Retiz is Retiz for anybody that wants to know. Obviously, this will be on YouTube as well, and I'll put the info, a link to all your info too as well. But this has been awesome. I really appreciate you coming on today, man, taking your time for
Yeah,
sure.
man, appreciate you for having me. It's
Yeah,
been
man.
fun.
Yeah, it's a good time. Told you, just conversation. So
Yeah.
it's fun talking construction, and it's fun having you on. And I really appreciate your time. Everybody that's listening, take time to subscribe. I always ask that. I don't advertise. I don't ask anything on the show. Just for you to subscribe. 5 stars, please, as well, and give me a like on YouTube, and write something in my comments on iTunes if you have 2 minutes of your time. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you all for listening to another episode of The Real Build. I will see you on the next one.